It's been a very crazy learning experience. I mean, coming in at the end of a session at the beginning of the biennium, so you're dealing with the whole budget, and as you said, in a truncated amount of time to figure out what has been done in the legislature that you don't quite hear about in the public, as well as voting on very important issues such as $15 an hour minimum wage, paid family medical leave, and even the transportation things that were trying to happen during the summer. So doing all of that and then coming into this session with high expectations on changes, on budget adjustments, and then getting hit with a pandemic, something that nobody in the legislature has dealt with before. It's just been a crazy whirlwind of events, but getting through that, it's a really good learning experience. I think I've handled it well. I made sure that during the pandemic and the subsequent racial justice push, that we are always available to the community out there doing work, providing PPE, food, clothing, books, and making sure that people know that racial equity has been on the minds of a lot of our legislators for a long time, and that we need to keep pushing for it. And now is the time to strike while the iron's hot. You try to find like districts. You talk to people in places like New Haven, New London, Hartford, Waterbury, Stanford, and try to really relate to the struggles of those communities and show them the struggles that your community has. Try to figure out how to connect legislators from there, really form a block and make people understand that Bridgeport, Connecticut is unique also in the fact that we are the largest city in the state of Connecticut. We need to be an economic driver for the state. And the way that we do that is having the state invest in our infrastructure, making sure that we are able to develop our downtown areas and our south end and surrounding areas to make sure that we are the economic driver Connecticut needs us to be, so that we're not just being carried by places like Greenwich, Westport, and Ridgefield, who do not go through the same problems when we talk about equity in Connecticut. So we talked first about University of Bridgeport now being a place where they're going to have 3 universities, Pear College of the Arts, Goodwin University, and Sacred Heart University, which all have very unique skill sets in the way that they educate students, coming together on one campus, really giving people the opportunity to learn in many different fields in one place under the umbrella of these 4 prestigious universities, and really getting an opportunity to have a good higher education. Then you put a basic high school campus right there in the center of that UB campus. And not only are we having an advanced manufacturing program there that I think will give people, our students, the opportunity to get jobs of the future, it also makes sure that they have state-of-the-art fields for the first time ever. And they're on a campus with a new form of higher education that really puts them in the position to want to go to a 4-year school after they're done with high school, and really drives them to get through those 4 years and perform well. And we're also doing the Resilient Bridgeport project, which is something that the state has been working on for a while. It's something that I have been in my capacity pushing for and making sure it moves forward. That we are making sure there's a flood wall on the south end, because we need to protect places like Seaside Village, the college, and the surrounding park, and just make sure that that area is protected, because people deserve to live there. It's a beautiful place to be, and we want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to live there for a long time. And when you think in 3 or 5 years, projected flooding could reach people's doorsteps when they have, higher porches, it's an issue, and we're working on it. In terms of the colleges coming together, those are 4 private universities. Our jobs as officials of the city and of the state are to make sure that they don't bleed out into our neighborhoods in a negative and have a negative impact on homeowners and property. But as far as the universities coming together, that's a decision that they made themselves, and our job is to foster that and control the positive outcomes for our city. In terms of Basic High School, the way that the city went about it, once us as state legislators secured that $100 million for Basic, it was kind of out of our hands, and we let the Bridgeport Board of Education and City Council in the School Buildings Committee take over. So once they did that, I think COVID made it really hard for people to have a public hearing. I'm not sure what their intention was behind that. And maybe people should have been upset, but there should be an info session coming for people who really need to figure out how this is going to impact their community, especially homeowners around that area. What separates me from my opponent is I'm the youngest legislator of color in the entire state of Connecticut. I'm somebody who has most recently grown up in this side of Bridgeport, gone through the school system, seen my family struggle with workforce development options, and building their careers, struggle financially. I've seen, the issues with development in our city, and, the most recent instances of these issues as I was growing up. I have an experience that is unmatched by any of my colleagues in the House, and it's unmatched by anybody who is opposing me now. I think it's time that young voices step up and speak for their community, as their community has been for the last 20 years. And that's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to bring that young perspective of a young person of color to Hartford like nobody else can. People are outraged still since the issues with George Floyd, since Jason Negron years ago. People are still outraged and upset at the way that our police department has handled themselves. And I'm not saying that it's everybody, but people are outraged and upset at the system. And I got involved to change the system, to make sure that equity is something that we look at in a holistic manner, and that we don't let the system work itself. So if we ever stopped working, if we just took our foot off the pedal, the system is working for inequitable opportunities and inequitable solutions. We're looking for the equity in it. And my constituents are looking for the same thing. They might not be looking at the same solutions as everybody else. Some people might want to defund the police, while other people might want to pare it down and do more of a divestment strategy. But at the end of the day, it's making sure that there is a mental health component to policing, and making sure that we have policing for 2020, not the same archaic system that's been in place for hundreds of years. When we talk about minority teacher recruitment, which is something we passed last year, nobody really talked about getting minority guidance counselors and social workers in. The push for school funding has never been as important as it is right now. And I think that is something that in the first year of our biennium, we need to push for. Proper funding for places like Bridgeport, places like Norwalk, places like New Haven, making sure that places that get too much money, that are being overfunded, maybe we shave a little bit off the top and have a needs-based funding formula that serves Hartford, serves New Haven, and make sure that we're all getting the education that we deserve for our children, regardless of their zip code. We all have one goal in mind, that's to make our community a better place. And a lot of our communities are connected. I mean, I have Jack Hennessy, Andre Baker, Christopher Rosario, and Steve Stash from all bordering different parts of the district. So when we talk about things that we have in common, sometimes our constituents are right across the street from each other. So when it comes to Bridgeport issues, we're all one team, and we all fight together. Bridgeport matters, and we need to make sure that everybody understands the impact that Bridgeport has on statewide elections, the impact that we can have going forward, and getting more people out to vote only makes that a louder sounding cry. So we need to do that more.